All right, we're going to do something a little bit different. Again, a few different moves, whatever. This is going to be a yellow Sally emerger. We're going to start with a little bit different move. Again, when I was talking about an economy of thread is, typically we start our thread back like so and work our way back. Here we're going to start a little bit different move, a jam knot move. Wayne Llewellyn, big advocate of thread control. Great little move there. So, and I'm going to go to about 2/3 of the usable shank length, or from the barb of the hook to just behind the eye. So right there, about 2/3. And we're going to take a little Z-line and we're going to make a little trailing shuck. I don't need a whole bunch. Pinch technique. And we're going to come right back to the barb of the hook. Throw one wrap of thread right behind that. Again, that's going to support that. Now I'm going to cut this relatively short, maybe the gap of the hook. So pretty sparse. And same thing, I'm going to just knock a couple of them out of there just so that they're not all squared off and even. I'm going to take some wood duck and we're going to lay that over as a tail. And anytime we're dealing with feathers and stems and we're trying to get this off of here, we can come in there and cut it. But if I even it out, so I got my tips to where I want, the amount that I want. If I hold that with my left hand, if I'm right-handed, now I hold that very secure with my left hand and pull that stem away with my right hand. All those tips are going to be even, like so. And I'm just going to lay that just so it's a little bit longer. So it's going over the top. Over the top of that trailing shuck. And I'm going to come up here to my original set point, right there. And, the Sallies have pretty robust abdomen. They are thin, but I mean, they're not thin like a mayfly thin. So I'm just going to put a little quick layer going back of dubbing, just to build up that abdomen. And this is a light, yellowy, sulfury yellow. This happens to be a synthetic, but you can use, anything. Right to my tail set, come up over the top. I can just take my thumb, kind of hit that wood duck. I just kind of like that splayed out effect, grabbing air bubbles. And I'll put one more wrap in for a lock. Now I can pull on that and it's not going to affect that tail at all. And I like to put a lot of the Sallies you'll see we'll have that little red or orange or pink little butt on them. So I like to put, I just kind of believe in it as being a trigger thing for the trout, that they see that little bright red or orange, pink little butt on them. And again, there's not a lot of taper in a stonefly's body. It's pretty even all the way across there. And now I'll switch back to my sulfury yellow. This probably, any good fly tyer that comes up with stuff, he fishes a lot. And he sees stuff that not necessarily hasn't seen tied before. I don't think we think of that as just like, oh, look at that. That's, that's an aspect of an insect or something that not necessarily other people aren't doing, but you're just being watchful, and you're going to help you be a better fisherman, or at least you think so, hopefully. And this is just, again, when I was observing, going like, these things are hatching in the water. They're not hatching on land. So that's when I just, I really, like I said, I really fish a lot of emergers just because I think, fish have their choice. They'll eat emergers before they'll eat adults. This is a really fine dubbing, and I'm just trying to make that body real even so that, it's not a taper like on a mayfly, tapers up like so. We're just trying to make it real nice and even going across. And if I was using a little bit heavier dubbing, I could probably do it in, pretty quick pass. But as fly tyers, we will kind of match dubbing for our flies. Typically for dry flies, we'll have a finer dubbing. For nymphs or whatever, we probably want something a little coarse, a little spiky. This is a size 12 hook here. I mean a size 14, excuse me. I guess we didn't even talk about hooks, did we? This is a 2 extra long dry fly hook, which again for stoneflies, relatively long. So where we would use a standard dry fly hook, this is actually 2 extra long. So it's a little bit longer hook. Now what we're going to put in is I've gone up just about to the eye of the hook. And what we're going to put in is some packing foam. We're just going to cut it kind of accordingly for the size that I need. I'll just use a rule and a razor blade and just cut it. It's about 1/4 of an inch right there. And we're going to cut just a little V into it, boom, boom. And now we're going to install it. We're just going to go back to where our dubbing was. And I'm not, that will collapse pretty readily, so I'm not doing a lot of tight wraps. Some good wraps, but not tight. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go back up to the front. We're going to go back up to the front with a little thin wrap or a thin layer of dubbing. and then we're going to come back. Now this, just because of the technique that I'm going to use here, I don't need this to be quite as large in diameter as I did for the rest of for the abdomen. But I do want it pretty even. Take that out. This is again a little technique that I've seen and I've done before. I've used a lot of dubbing loop, but this is a kind of a slick little deal here that Wayne Llewellyn again turned me on to. And we're just going to take a little CDC feather, something that's relatively kind of long and pretty bushy. Yeah, and these are, like I said, this is a Mark Pettigene tool, which are pretty slick little deals for doing a bunch of this stuff. And this is going to be really simple. And what it does, or what it's supposed to do, folds that feather into there. Now we have another tool. Then I'm going to pick up the fold, and I'm going to come and cut that stem out of there. Like so. And I'm not a big advocate of wax, but in this case, it really helps. So what I really need this really flat right now, this thread. I could come up here and make a dubbing loop. In other words, I could bring my thread up and make a loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually split this thread. I'm going to split that thread, and now I'm going to place that CDC in here and basically create a hackle. And I don't need much for dubbing wax here, just a little thin coat. Originally, before I split this, I would put this in a hackle. I would just tie my CDC in as a stem and put it in as a hackle. I'm going to get a lot more material in here for a lot better flotation. All right. Now I'm just going to wind this just like I would a hackle, but I'm going to try to pull these fibers back as I'm winding that up forward. There we go. And then this stuff on top, I'm going to just kind of split it, splay it to the side. Bring my closed cell foam over. Or my packing foam, this isn't closed cell. Again, just a little couple of soft wraps. I just want to get a little air bubble, just so that little air can get underneath that, in between the foam and the CDC. And I just leave a little bit of a kind of an elk hair caddis. I trim that, just a little bit of a butt up there. Try to get that flat. Sally emerger.